Two empty frames hang on the walls of Boston's Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum. They've been empty for over 3 decades. These frames once held masterpieces worth hundreds of millions of dollars, paintings that disappeared in just 81 minutes on a cold March night in 1990. One frame held Rembrandt's only seascape. Another contained one of just 34 known Vermeer paintings in existence. Today, they're part of the largest unsolved art heist in history, a $500 million mystery that continues to baffle the FBI and art investigators worldwide. But how did two men in police uniforms manage to steal 13 priceless artworks from one of America's most prestigious museums? And why, after more than 30 years, haven't these masterpieces surfaced? The answer may lie in an intricate web of coincidences and suspicious circumstances. A security guard with a questionable past, a mysterious visitor the night before, connections to the Boston mob, and a criminal underground that stretches from New England to the Irish Republican Army. To understand this extraordinary theft, we need to first understand the extraordinary woman who created this museum and the unique circumstances that made this heist possible. Isabella Stewart Gardner was no ordinary collector. Born into New York's wealthy elite in 1840, she spent her life traveling the world, developing an expert eye for art, and amassing what would become one of the most impressive private collections in America. In 1901, Gardner began construction on her dream, a 4-story Venetian palace in the heart of Boston. Every detail was meticulously planned, from the courtyard's ancient Roman mosaics to the precise placement of each painting and artifact. When the museum opened in 1903, it housed over 7,500 paintings, sculptures, and rare artifacts, including works by Rembrandt, Botticelli, Raphael, and Titian. But Gardner wasn't just creating a museum, she was creating a legacy. Her will stipulated that nothing in the collection could ever be moved or changed. This requirement would later take on a haunting significance. Because those empty frames we mentioned, they have to stay exactly where they are, serving as a constant reminder of what was lost that fateful night. Let's go back to March 17, 1990. It's St. Patrick's Day in Boston. The streets are filled with revelers, and at the Gardner Museum, the night shift is about to begin. Meet Richard Abbott, a 23-year-old rock musician who works as a security guard to pay the bills. By his own later admission, he sometimes showed up to work high or drunk after his band's performances. In his words, it was the most boring job in the world. Working alongside him is Randy Heston, 25 years old and on his first night shift. Neither man knows they're about to become central figures in one of history's greatest art crimes. At 12:54 a.m., something unusual happens. A fire alarm goes off on the 3rd floor. Abath investigates but finds nothing. To this day, nobody knows if this was a test run by the thieves or a coincidence. Then, at 1:24 a.m., everything changes. Two men in police uniforms appear at the side entrance, visible on the museum's closed-circuit TV. They claim they're responding to a disturbance call. It's a plausible story. After all, it's St. Patrick's Day, and the neighborhood has been full of partygoers. Despite strict museum policy forbidding entry to anyone, even police, after hours, Abath makes a fateful decision. He buzzes them in. The officers approach the desk confidently. One of them looks at Abath and says something that will later raise investigators' suspicions. "You look familiar. I think we have a warrant out for you. Come here and show us some identification." It's a clever ruse. By asking Abath to step away from his desk, they've separated him from the only panic button that could alert real police. Within moments, they handcuff him. When Heston arrives moments later, he meets the same fate. Then comes the revelation that changes everything. "This is a robbery," one of the thieves announces. "Don't give us any problems and you won't get hurt." The guards are led to the basement, handcuffed to pipes, and their eyes and mouths are wrapped with duct tape. But before leaving them, the thieves make an intriguing promise. "Keep your mouth shut and you'll get your reward in a year's time." What happens next demonstrates a remarkable knowledge of the museum's layout and security systems. The thieves move through the galleries with precision, heading straight for specific pieces. Their first stop is the Dutch Room, where they smash the glass protecting Rembrandt's Storm on the Sea of Galilee, his only seascape. Rather than carefully removing it, they brutally cut the canvas from its frame. They do the same to A Lady and Gentleman in Black, another Rembrandt masterpiece. In the same room, they take Vermeer's The Concert, a painting that would later be valued at over $250 million, making it the most valuable stolen artwork in history. But here's where things get strange. They leave behind Rembrandt's self-portrait, worth millions more. Moving to the short gallery, they carefully remove 5 Degas sketches. Then, in what seems like an odd choice, they spend precious minutes unscrewing a bronze eagle finial, a decorative piece worth far less than other works they passed by. Finally, they enter the blue room on the first floor, taking Manet's Chez Tortoni. But here's where another mystery emerges. While motion detectors record a bath entering this room earlier in the night, they somehow fail to detect the thieves removing the painting. At 2:45 a.m., after 81 minutes inside the museum, the thieves make their final moves. They check on the guards one last time, take the security tapes from the closed-circuit cameras, and remove the printouts from the motion detectors. Then they load their priceless cargo into a car. Witnesses later describe seeing a red hatchback and disappear into the night. The next morning, when the day shift arrives at 6:45 a.m., they find something wrong. No one answers their calls. The police discover the guards in the basement, still bound and handcuffed. But this is where our mystery deepens, because what investigators discover in the following days and years raises more questions than answers. First, there's the matter of Rick Abath's movements that night. Security logs show him opening and closing a side door shortly before the robbery, something not part of his normal routine. When questioned about this, he has no explanation. Then there's the mysterious visitor he let in the night before. In 2015, the FBI released surveillance footage showing Abath buzzing in an unidentified person at nearly the same time of night. When questioned, Abath claims he has no memory of this incident. The thieves' knowledge of the museum's security systems is also suspicious. They knew exactly which motion detectors to avoid and which cameras to disable. They knew where the panic button was located. They even knew about the museum's policy regarding police visits after hours, a policy that Abath claims he wasn't aware of. This leads to one of the main theories. Was this an inside job? The FBI certainly thought so, but Abath passed 2 polygraph tests, and no evidence has ever directly linked him to the crime. Over the years, other theories have emerged. Some point to the Boston mob, particularly gangster Bobby Donati, who was killed in a gang war in 1991. According to one theory, Donati organized the heist to use the paintings as bargaining chips to get a fellow mobster out of prison. Others suggest the Irish Republican Army might have the paintings. Arthur Brand, a Dutch art investigator known as the Indiana Jones of the art world, claims he's spoken with former IRA members who say it was common knowledge the organization had the paintings. In 1994, an anonymous letter arrived at the museum. The writer claimed to be negotiating on behalf of the thieves, demanding $2.6 million and immunity from prosecution. The museum agreed to negotiate through coded messages in the Boston Globe, but after 2 exchanges, the writer mysteriously disappeared. The FBI has followed countless leads. They've searched warehouses in Philadelphia, investigated tips in Ireland, and interviewed dozens of suspects. In 2013, they announced they were confident they knew who committed the robbery, but still couldn't locate the art. Today, the museum offers a $10 million reward for information leading to the art's recovery, the largest private reward ever offered. The statute of limitations has expired, meaning whoever returns the art won't face prosecution. And those empty frames? They remain exactly where Isabella Stewart Gardner's will demands they stay, waiting for their paintings to return. Museum director Anthony Amore, who has spent over a decade investigating the case, remains hopeful. "We are looking for that 1 or 2 pieces of information that could end this for us," he says. Someone could call with the info for one last puzzle piece. But as the years pass, questions multiply. Were the thieves professionals or lucky amateurs? Was it an inside job, or did they just get lucky? And perhaps most importantly, where are these masterpieces now? Are they hidden in someone's attic, stored in a warehouse, buried in a field somewhere? Or have they been destroyed, lost forever to history? The empty frames still hang in the Gardner Museum, silent witnesses to the largest art theft in history. They serve as both a memorial to what was lost and a hope for what might return. Somewhere out there, 13 masterpieces worth $500 million are waiting to be found. The question remains, will they ever make it home?